All right, so we're going to do an after action report on Cloud Field Day CFDx that we just finished. Kind of an idea was let's just see a couple of top high level. What do we see? What do we like? What do we not like? What do we think about it?
Yeah.
And just do some quick introductions. So I am Nathan Bennett. You can find me on Twitter at vnathanbennett.
I am Jim Jones. You can find me on Twitter at Kool-Aid IT with zeros, because I'm like that.
And I am Chris Williams, Enterprise Architect. You can find me on Twitter at Mistwire.
Yeah, so we just saw NetApp at our Cloud Field Day X. So what'd you think, guys? What'd you like?
I liked that NetApp is still maintaining relevance. They've been a near and dear to me purveyor of fine hardware services for a long time, and they are adapting. A lot of big companies have struggled mightily with the adaptation to cloud, trying to figure out how do we live in a world where we can't sell disks anymore. And they are coming up with a compelling story to maintain their existence. Let's be honest. With this multi-cloud strategy, they've got a foot in each one of the hyperscalers. They are now creating a management layer, and data is king. So if they can comprehensively control data, govern data, have good policy and RBAC around data, then I think they've got a good story. I have a lot of concerns, but I think that they have a very good first foot in the ground.
And we'll get to that in just a second. What did you think, Jim?
So, as the opposite of Chris, someone who has historically been fairly negative on NetApp, I am not exactly their biggest fan either. I find myself thinking 5 words that I never thought I'd say, which is NetApp is a cloud company. I think that's 5, or at least close enough. I was really
Nailed it. Nailed it.
Yeah. I was legitimately impressed with the way that they are pivoting to effectively take that same concept that they have today to have a robust storage platform for on-prem or on-premises, as we should use the term correctly, and then take that and apply it to, like you said, the hyperscalers. Mm-hmm. If I had a takeaway from today that's like oh God, I wish they just did this. I wish that they would find that middle ground from their past to their future and maybe lean in and embrace the vCloud Director ecosphere. That has nothing to do with the fact that I do work for a service provider, but it is a thought that, that's like, if you're going to complete the entire vision, that is, the cloud, which is one of those things that, I don't know about the rest of you, but it felt like we spent an inordinate amount of time today defining what is cloud.
We did. It definitely felt that way. I definitely agree with you, because it's that NetApp is a cloud company. What we saw today was self-service. It was a platform. It was able to do connections between multiple different software as a service solutions. And so if you're seeing that and you would compare it to something like Office 365, which does a lot of the same things as a SaaS provider, mm-hmm. Let's just ask that question. I think I already know your answer, which is NetApp is the cloud, right?
Yeah.
Is that what we're seeing from this?
Yeah, I'm really kind of interested. I think we've kind of teased that we might see some things in the future that, they have a capability to be API and IAC driven. Show me that piece, and then we're really, really, really getting there. But like you said today during the presentation, the fact that I can go in and I can go to a thing and I can button clicky here, button clicky there, and provision workloads across a variety of hyperscalers is very, very impressive.
Yeah.
Gesticulate with your beer hand and hold the mic to your face so he can catch you on the audio. As a techno nerd, I can appreciate good audio. I apologize.
Yeah. Chris, would you agree with that?
What was the question again?
The question is, so is NetApp a cloud company?
Yes. NetApp is a cloud company. They are creating appliances and management layers in the cloud. So they are as much a cloud company as as any SaaS offering, as Salesforce, as O365. They are not creating data centers or anything like that, but they have a cloud offering.
Mm-hmm.
NetApp's challenge is, or are we going to talk about the challenge? Or
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
NetApp's challenge is they have a messaging problem.
Yeah.
Their core, the core that they've had for the longest time, has been the operations people, the people that care about spindles and speeds and feeds, and racking and stacking and how many disks can I jam into a chassis. The people they need to cajole into joining them are the developers. And that was a big conversation today. There were people saying, oh well, Microsoft over-rotated on developers. I'm like, that's not the wrong answer. They need to send a consistent message to both camps. Yeah. There is a message for ops, there is a message for developers, mm-hmm. and that has to be a consistent message. You can't over-rotate and go, okay, we're only going to message to developers. You can't over-rotate and say, oh, we're only going to message to ops. You have to have that DevOps story. You have to make the developers care about speeds and feeds, and you have to make the ops people care a little bit about code.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's tough. That's not easy. And marketing companies have struggled with striking the right tone for that message.
Yeah. Jim, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a challenge, mm-hmm. and you're completely correct. I mean, the reality of it is you have companies. You have you have companies that are used to having, one thing that you have to talk to, and maybe if you're stretching, you have to talk to the infrastructure people and you have to talk to the C-level people.
Yeah.
Well, now, to quote, "Oh brother, where art thou?" We got lots of constituencies, mm-hmm. and they need to talk to developers just as well, mm-hmm. and that is, that is a different thing. All of us, rack and stack wire nerds, mm-hmm. We struggle with talking and dealing in code. Mm-hmm. We can do it sometimes for various definitions of code. Hello, PowerShell. But it's not our native tongue, if you will.
Correct.
And they're getting there. I was actually on the opposite side of that I somewhat agreed that I appreciate the fact that it wasn't developers, mm-hmm. but you're right. There needs to be a balance to it.
So I'm going to ask Stephen Foskett to join us real quickly. Come here, buddy. And because I have one last thing that I want to touch on was out of all the services that you saw from NetApp today, what stood out? I'm going to start and say the ability to trade subscriptions and be able to manage your subscriptions on one singular platform without having to call an account rep or anything like that. I kind of dig that. I thought that was really awesome, and I think a lot of people should pay attention. Jim, we'll start with you. What did you see that one of all the services, and if you need me to read them out, uh-huh. I can. I have them. But of all services, what stood out like? Oh wow, that's really cool.
Well, so I will start with the general cloud manage was really interesting, yep. And I actually had a very similar thought to yours of the ability to trade out licensing and things like that was interesting. But my God, if this was not like the perfect use case for the concept of universal licensing, to where I have one license, it treats everything as a same level, and I can take that terabyte for terabyte as I go from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. That feels very natural.
So what did you think, Chris?
So I was interested in the one service that we didn't really get into, which was the Kubernetes automated provisioning. I really wanted to hear more about Trident and what was the other one? Axiom? Atlas?
Atlas Trident.
Atlas and Trident. What impressed me the most,
Astra Trident.
Astra. What impressed me the most, though, was the overarching message of the services. There was this one slide that covered the governance pieces, the security pieces, all of the heavy hitters from a storage and data and RBAC provisioning ecosystem. Mm-hmm. They have a good story around the ecosystem, and all of the services slot in appropriately into said ecosystem. Yeah. So I like that message. I want to see that running in the wild. I want to see how effective that is at being. I'm not going to say single pane of glass because it's not going to be not anytime soon.
Doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist, and the licensing piece of it, that needs to be a more robust FinOps answer.
Absolutely.
Before I'm
Yep.
ready to brand it FinOps, but they're moving in the right direction. Their hearts are in the right place. So I like the whole. I like everything that I heard today.
Yeah.
With the giant asterisks of they have a lot of challenges.
Yep.
They have a lot of struggles that they're going to have with them versus native tooling. There's going to be a lot of things that they've got to figure out, and they're aware of it. They understand these challenges, and they are better positioned than a lot of people in the same position.
I would like to just, as a clarification, my appreciation for the ability to edit, adjust, and trade subscriptions ends there. I do not accept that as FinOps by any means. It's just kind of a licensing manager function that I think is really good. And in this world that we live in with like Netflix, Disney Plus, and all these different subscription models, it just needs to be available on the enterprise. So, Stephen, what did you think that you saw that you liked the most out of the services?
Well, I'm going to be the iconoclast here and say that
course you are.
for me, the most important thing that NetApp is doing right now is what they talked about at VMware Explore, which is FSx for AWS ONTAP, which is the reason I think that's the most important is really kind of a tactical thing that VMware is really hot on that solution because they desperately need it. They
Yes.
need to decouple the sizing of compute versus storage. They didn't have a great solution. They put together one using the Datrium code, but clearly they didn't believe in their own solution enough to say that this is a complete solution. They partnered with NetApp, which has a great functional solution in the AWS cloud, and it works wonderfully. And it was really, really strongly featured at VMware Explore. Now, that's not really what they were talking about here, but from a tactical perspective, the ability to have full enterprise ONTAP running in all three public clouds in a way that allows you to do all of the things that you would do just sort of seamlessly with enterprise workloads is extremely powerful. Now, this, unfortunately for NetApp, so it's a great solution. It's going to absolutely kill it in the market. VMware is 100% behind it, and it works in all three public clouds. We win, right? No, because of course that's exactly kind of the backward-looking kind of solution that what you guys are talking about is the opposite. It's like the antithesis of that. But to me, the fact that they have this backward-looking compatible solution available in all the clouds with VMware means that they have a future. They have a way to get to 2026.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, frankly, they might run out of leg room before the next generation stuff really takes hold and is enough to support a multi-billion-dollar company. This stuff is enough to, I think, bridge that gap. And so for me, that's the most important thing that NetApp is doing right now.
Yeah, I think that's totally valid, and we'll definitely put the link for the recording for that talk that was at VMware Explorer in the description, so that y'all can go and check that as well. But final thoughts, Stephen, you have the mic. What final thoughts on? Let's focus on today. Final thoughts on how everything went. Anything that you would like to give parting wisdom to the people out there?
Yeah, I think the smartest thing that NetApp did today was basically open it with discussion. Open it and invite the delegates to join the conversation very much from the start. There were no slides for the first half hour.
Yes.
It was discussion oriented. They turned off the screen. That was great, and I saw all of y'all light up, jump in, and the entire morning was here's some slides, here's some demos, and here's 15 people talking about it together objectively, and I think it set a great tone.
Yeah. And Jim, any final thoughts, parting words?
Yeah, I'll actually echo what Stephen was saying. That was probably the most interactive Cloud Field Day session that I think I've been a part of, and probably one of the most that I've actually seen. So that was great and that was enjoyable. It's much better when you can feel like you're part of it as opposed to being preached to. Mm-hmm. Really enjoyed the day and looking forward to the rest of the week as we transition to the next event.
Yeah.
Chris?
I enjoyed it. I think it was really smart that they established a dictionary at the very beginning. They set up a lexicon, and we all just talked about what is multi-cloud, what is cloud. I mean, there was a lot of very substantive discussion very early on that allowed us to get on the same page, because multi-cloud is ephemeral and nebulous, just like the word DevOps is.
Yeah.
And so to get agreement or collegial disagreement on what those things mean, and how and why they are approaching it that way, and then defining the use case around that was very smart. We've been to a lot of cloud field days where we're halfway through a presentation and we don't even know what the product is, much less what they're trying to pitch, and this felt good. I mean, I knew where NetApp was coming from, obviously, because we've been around with them, and now I have a good vision of where they want to go, and also, more importantly, where they see their challenges as they go towards that destination. So there was no hand wavy smoke and mirror stuff, except maybe some of the AI parts. But a lot of it was very grounded in reality, and that was refreshing. This wasn't a startup coming in here and saying, "Hey, buy our hot new item." This was a company that's been around the block, has taken a lot of bumps and bruises, and is now going, "Okay, we've done this dance. We know what we're doing. Let's now position that in a new ecosystem, the cloud, and rock it there as well."
Fantastic. This is only day one. We have a whole week of these events, and so be sure to check out Tech Field Day on their LinkedIn channel, and be sure to follow us on our different Twitters, and we'll be tweeting out for the rest of the week. Thanks for joining us.